Welcome everybody, this is Shield Maiden SA here, and it is Tuesday, and you know what that means? That means another fun edition of Tabletop Tuesday. I know we have been really super focused on, like, D&D, for the last couple months, but, you know, there's a whole lot more to tabletop gaming than D&D. I know it's hard to believe for all you diehards out there, but, you know, there are a whole lot more tabletop games out there that are pretty great and pretty amazing, actually. So, you know, I wanted to go ahead and bring you guys maybe some games that you weren't as familiar with, just kind of broaden the gaming horizons, so to speak. Or also maybe teach you to play something that maybe seemed a little bit elusive to you. So, you know, this is one that I know, it's a really fun game, it's really fun to play through, and it doesn't necessarily take a ton of time. So we're going to go ahead and learn tonight how to play some Dicemasters. I'm just going to run it with a 4-card setup. You can run as many as 8, but I wanted to make sure you guys could really clearly see what I was doing. And in order to do that, that meant I had to kind of, how shall we say, make the playing field a little bit larger. That way I could make sure you guys can see everything that I am talking about and describing here tonight. So like I said, always feel free to ask questions, feel free to like and share. Now, of course, the big news of the week is over the weekend we did, in fact, hit our 400 likes and followers, so yay! So that means that March 17th, St. Paddy's Day, we will be doing that amazing giveaway. So, you know, with that being said, keep in mind, there can be more prizes. The more likes and followers we get, the more prizes I may add into the mix. In addition, don't forget to hop over to Instagram and show your love over there as well. Because there are a lot of things that I post on Instagram that I don't necessarily post to Facebook because I don't want to blow up your Facebook feed all day long. Especially when I have a big event. But Instagram doesn't tend to blow it up quite as much. So I'll post some of those things over there. So go ahead and just look for Shield Maiden SA. You will see my shiny smiling face in that icon photo and go ahead and follow me. Because the more followers we get there, hey, the more goodies I get to add. So bear with me just one moment. As always, I want to make sure we get this shared out to anybody and everybody who might want to watch us and learn. Alright, so I hope everybody had a great weekend. I hope everyone is surviving this crazy cold weather as well. I know that I am doing what I can to stay nice and warm and toasty. But like I said, I want to make sure I get this shared out there so that way anybody who wants to come and join, anybody who wants to be a part of the conversation, I am more than willing to let them join on in. Like I said, whether you are a beginner to Dicemasters, whether this is something new to you, or whether you are someone who plays and does tournaments and all that really cool stuff, you know, I definitely appreciate when everyone joins in on that conversation. To me, it just kind of feels like, you know, you get a better conversation out of it. So bear with me just one moment. Like I said, I just want to make sure we get this shared out there, so that anybody who wants to join us can do so. And we will go ahead and get just one more out there, because like I said, you know, I want to make sure that anybody that is curious about it or, you know, wants to join in that conversation can. I know that may sound kind of silly, because it's like, man, why do you want someone else coming in to tell you how to play this game or join in on that conversation? That's how you get better. That's how you get more input. You know, maybe there's something that I do that I don't do that somebody else does. So, you know, hey, I want to make sure that, you know, they have the chance to kind of, you know, check that out too. So let me just take a quick look here. No, that's not where that's going. Hold on here. All right. So, Dicemasters is an amazing game brought to you by the same folks that bring you HeroClix. That is going to be WizKids. As you can see here, if you take a look here, yeah, War of Light, that does mean there, for those of you that are big Green Lantern fans, there is a Green Lantern edition of this for the Lantern Corps. Tonight, however, I'm going to be playing with my Iron Man and War Machine dice and cards. I just kind of feel that they're a little bit easier to understand. So that's of course where I want to start. Now you don't have to start with a mat. This just for me demonstrating it for you, I feel that this kind of helps, especially as a new player. It helped me out to have this because it kind of shows you where everything goes. And it also, this little section here in the middle that you can see, this matches the play design area in the handbook that comes with the instructions. So like I said, these are things that I felt were kind of helpful for me as a new player. So that's why I wanted to make sure that I did use this, just so that way you have that visual, and it may help you guys out a little bit as well. So of course, like I said, of course you're going to start with your play area. We are only playing 4. You can play as many as 8. I believe tournament plays 8. Beginners, like if you bought just like a starter kit that has all the cards that you're going to need for 2 players, then for that you usually play 4 and 4 just to kind of get the hang of it. Another key component to Dicemasters is the dice bag. There are many different versions, but when you buy the starter kits, and I'm just going to call them starter kits for lack of a better term. I know they have a name for them, but starter kits is a universal term everyone knows. For this, I'm just going to use the one that came with it. Like I said, this was for the Iron Man and War Machine, so that's the bag we're going to use. It's this really kind of nice Tyvek paper. They're printed with some cool designs, and it's just basically somewhere to keep your dice. Next thing, of course, dice. Let's talk about those dice. Actually, no, I take it back. We're going to talk about the cards first, because before we get to the dice, you got to have your cards. So, you are going to have these cards here that have colors at the top. The colors do not denote anything special or fancy. It is just a matter of color preference for you. This is how you set up your basic action cards. You place this behind your basic action cards that we're going to talk about here in one moment, and that tells you what base color of basic action dice you are using. It is always a little bit easier if you do choose to go ahead and you make sure that you and whoever you are normally playing against are using different colored basic action cards. That's going to help you kind of sort out everybody's dice at the end of it all. And so one more share here. Hold on here. Haha, there we go. So now you hear me talk about these action cards and the dice. These are going to be your action dice. Your pink action dice naturally go with your pink action card. They call this orange. It looks like goldenrod, but hey, we're just going to roll with that. And so those you have to keep with that. Now, what you're going to add here is a basic action card. You see, it says basic action, but it doesn't tell you what you do with that. But here on your mat, you have a section that says basic action card. Now, like I said, for the sake of space, I am going to kind of run these kind of close together. So I'm just going to kind of make that work. So we're going to set my pink one here. And we'll go ahead and set my orange one just right here. Just for the purposes of this demonstration. Normally you do have one on each side of your playmat. Like I said, I wanted to make sure you guys could see the maximum amount of space here. So that's why we are using kind of a minimized play field, so to speak. So from there, you're going to get your basic action cards. Now, the way that you know which ones are your basic action cards in relation to the rest of your cards, underneath the name of the card, it's going to tell you basic action card. So this here is called Surprise Attack. This one deals 1 damage to a target character die. Or if I roll a bunch of those little stars at the bottom, oh, I can't really read that well from there, can you? Let me see here. There we go. Oh, there we go. You can read it a little better. It's going to deal 2 damage instead. So for this, I'm going to lay this on top of my basic action card. And I'm just going to put my pink dice that I just dropped on the floor. Where'd it go? There we go. Use my monkey toes to pick it up. Ha ha! And I'm just going to set these here, because these you have to purchase, and we'll get to that in a moment. Next, my next basic action card is Cone of Cold. It's a basic action. The way we know this is because it says basic action. What this card does is it deals 1 damage to a target character die, deal 2 damage to different target character die, and deal 3 damage to another character die. You may only use this action if there are at least 3 character dice in the field zone. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we progress. So I'm going to go ahead and set this over here. And this one is going to be where I'm going to go ahead and put these 3 orange basic action dice. From there, you're going to need to get your sidekick dice. And I am dropping everything all over the place tonight. I'm just not with it tonight, guys. Sorry. I just keep dropping everything. So these are called sidekick dice. They're a white die. There is a question mark on one side. There is a mask. There is a pawn. There is a shield. And there is a fist. Those come into play when it comes to drawing your cards. So, for those of you that are familiar with Magic the Gathering, think of them like mana. When you play this game, you do use a total of 8 of these dice. So you start off with 8 sidekick dice. These do not have a card associated to them yet at this point. So you can just go ahead and take those, take your little dice bag, drop them right in. Right. Now let's talk about the characters that I'm choosing to play with tonight. So I've gone ahead and chosen War Machine, and each of these cards has a different description. So this one's War Machine Roadie. And this one is fast. When War Machine KOs an opposing character die with combat damage, deal 2 damage to your opponent. And of course, as I'm playing these and pulling these out, I will go ahead and explain the actions they take as well. Now, as mentioned, you are going to need to add more dice. When you're playing this game, once you've got your 8 sidekick die in your bag here, we went ahead and put them in our little bag. Hey, Steven, yeah, I decided, you know what, we haven't done anything other than D&D for a while, let's shake it up, let's play some Dicemasters, because it's really a lot of fun, and I think, you know, part of why some areas don't have as much of a community for it is because of the fact that they just don't know how to play. No one sat down and explained the rules, so we're going to break it down and, you know, show everyone the steps, and just kind of have some fun with it and teach some people about Dicemasters. So, in addition to your 8 sidekick die, you get to have a total of 20 dice. Now, the way you get these other dice, however, are through the cards that you pick. You can have, in tournament, it's no more than 4 of the same dice per card. So, for this one, the way you know which dice you have, your dice are going to match these symbols here. So, here's a War Machine dice. This is the symbol. And you can see here it has some numbers in the corners and some symbols, and we will talk about that as we're going along. These numbers may change depending on the side of the dice. So you see on this one we have a 0 defense, a 2 attack. This one over here is a 1, a 3, and a 4. Also, it does have some of the things such as the shields, like we saw on our sidekick dice. So this is how you can help get those extra symbols. And the reason these symbols are important is because that is how you are able to field your dice for these characters. So, for War Machine Roadie, for example, in order to be able to add one of these dice into my dice bag, I have to have 4 of these shield symbols. So that can be a single shield, it can be a double shield, or it can also be a wild card. And like I said, we will talk about that a little bit more as we get going. Now, like I said, with this one, because this is part of the starter kit and I haven't expanded on it for my War Machine and Iron Man, I only have the 2 dice to start with. The next card I'm going to bring into play is called Rescue. And it is Rescue Resilient. And when you get down to the bottom, sorry guys, I'm trying to not get too much glare, but I'm also trying to like make sure you guys can see the card. Yeah, there we go. That's a little better. This one is Suit Up, Pepper Potts, or Rescue. At the end of your roll and reroll step, your opponent loses 1 life for each rescue die that rolled an energy face. Rescue doesn't need to be active for this ability to trigger. And as you can see here, the symbol for this one, that's what the dice are going to look like to match it. So that's kind of how you identify that. You have to look at those symbols that are on the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and add that. Bring my 2 dice over here. I'm going to try not to fling any more dice off the edge of my tray here. And I want to thank everybody, that is joining me to watch this. Whether you are an experienced player, whether you are a new player, I always appreciate the support and the energy and the conversation that comes from, this is the Iron Man War Machine team pack. It just happened to be the first one I had handy today. I could have probably gone into my Zen bins and dug out a few different ones, but I decided to go with Iron Man and War Machine for today. I also pulled out Jarvis. He is an ally. And this one is Loyal Confidant. Like I said, there are multiple cards. We'll talk about that a little bit more once I show you some of the basic gameplay. And so what this particular card does is this die counts as a sidekick in the field zone. When fielded, the next character die you field this turn costs 1 less to field. So, for example, if I needed to field Rhodey, and I had already activated Jarvis, then Jarvis would therefore, when I fielded him, the next character I go to bring out on the field, so if that was Rhodey, I would only have to have 3 of those shields to get that dice out into the field. Once again, we always get the dice that match the symbol there at the bottom. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see that symbol. And like I said, since this is just the team pack, basically the starter set, I only have 2 dice. There are others in here that I have expanded on prolifically. And to be completely honest, this is actually the first time I've really used my Iron Man and my War Machine. I tend to play a lot more with my Green Arrow set than with my Iron Man and War Machine. But hey, this was the first thing I had handy. It was brand new. I knew I had, exactly what I was going to need, so we went with Iron Man and War Machine today. The 4th card I chose to bring out for this is Iron Spider. And I chose Iron Spider, Too Cool for Words. And so that's what this card looks like here. And for this one, when fielded, deal 2 damage to target character die for each active Iron Man or Spider-Man. And the way that you know is based upon these symbols here. Down here at the bottom. Let me see if you guys can see that. There we go. Blinding light. Sorry. And so for here, we're going to get those in, and we'll go ahead and bring out those dice. Now, one thing I did mention, of course, it is very important to keep in mind what you need to field each of these characters. So, fortunately, I paid enough attention when I was picking these 4 that everything isn't a bunch of shields, everything isn't a bunch of fists, everything isn't energy, and everything isn't masks. So, For example, when we talked about our sidekick die, and I'm just going to pull one of them out of the bag here, just for the sake of demonstration. If I need to field Iron Spider, I have to have the fist come up, because he's my tank, so to speak. So this is the symbol I'm looking for on my dice to be able to field him. I need to have 4 of those to field him. If I'm going to be pulling out the rescue, I need to have the energy symbol that's on this card here. So it's going to look like a little lightning bolt. For Jarvis, as an ally, I need the little superhero mask. And like I said, that is all determined based on your card. There are other cards that have different symbols on them. There sometimes are even different cards within the same character line. One may be like an energy where another one's a fist. And like I said, all of that is going to depend upon what is on the corner of that card as far as that cost to bring that out. Alright, so as mentioned, when we are starting this, we go ahead and we start with our sidekick die. So our sidekick die are here in our fancy little bag. Okay, it's not really super fancy, but you know, you guys get the point. I like them. I think they're kind of cool. So when you are first starting, normally you're going to roll to see who goes first. Because of the fact that I'm not necessarily playing against myself because I didn't set up a second opponent. We're just kind of walking through the steps, so to speak. And let me readjust this just a little bit. There we go. In the process of me dropping everything, I apparently started knocking my camera all over the place. There we go. We're going to basically just kind of do this as your basic playthrough. Like I said, some of the rules are going to be a little bit different because of the fact that, you know, I'm playing by myself. All by myself. Okay. So, if you are the first player to start, you are going to remove 4 dice from your dice bag. You shake them up. Alright. And so at this point, all we have in here are sidekicks. So we don't have the option to pull anything out other than a sidekick. If I can get a hold of that 4th sidekick bag. Dice. Okay. And I'm just going to set this up here just so it's out of the way of the playfield. I'm going to take, and I am going to roll my dice. So, I'm going to get these where you guys can see them. I have 1 energy. I have 1 wild card, because that's what the question marks are. Those are wild cards. I have 2 wild cards. And I have a sidekick. Or, like I said, looks like a pawn, makes it a sidekick. And I think I forgot to mention, like I said, the question marks here are wild cards. So, from here, what I'm going to do, I've rolled them, I see what I've got. So, at this point, what I'm going to do, because I need to get more dice in my bag to be able to possibly roll enough things to get more of my characters out into play, I'm going to go ahead and field my sidekick here, because, well, he's a 0 cost. So, this number up here in the corner, let me get a little closer. Hopefully don't blind you guys. There we go. Maybe, there we go. That 0 in this corner over here means that it has a 0 field cost. So, I do not have to have any extra dice to field this character. It has 1 attack, 1 defense. So I'm going to go ahead and put him up in my field zone. I'm going to go and use these other 3 here I'm going to move them to my used pile, and I'm going to bring out a rescue. So, when I've purchased this one, I move these two out of play, so into the used area. And when these come out, they come out into your prep area. So when you move these out, the best way to describe it is kind of like summoning sickness. You bring the character out and they go into this prep area here. And guys, correct me if I am wrong, because it has been a little while since I've played, and based on the rules I am following here, that is, yeah, out of play. Moves it to my used pile. I field the sidekick for free. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yes, alright, I was not losing my mind. Okay. So that goes into my prep area there. Because I'm not attacking anything, this would be the end of my turn. So, we're going to pretend that I have a fake opponent. They've gone ahead, they've rolled their dice, they've bought their cards, they've done what they're going to do. So, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my last 4 sidekick dice out of my bag, and we're going to roll them. Oh, actually, I think I missed a step. Hold on. No, I know I missed a step. Let me go back over here. Bear with me just 1 second here. Sorry, I'm just double checking my rules because I want to make... Yeah, that's what I thought is they went... So yeah, so these guys are here in used. Okay, that's right. This guy here goes to used. That's right. Sorry, for some reason sometimes I get my Magic and my Dicemasters mixed up. Won't even lie. Sometimes it happens. So I was like, do they get summoning sickness? No, they go there. Okay. So these are all in my used pile. So my imaginary player has gone. Oh yeah, thanks, Steven. Yeah, it's something that sometimes it works really well, sometimes it's a little bit tricky, but I feel that it kind of, since really people want to see what I'm doing here, the 2-camera setup works really well. So, my other player has gone. They have taken their turn. They have done what they're going to do. So here, what I am going to do now, I'm going to roll my dice, because I only have 4 left, and I'm going to roll them. Okay. I have a wild card. I have a wild card. I have a fist. And I have another sidekick. Now, at this point, take a look here. Alright, so from there, I'm trying to see what I want to do. Because I do have the option to reroll. So I can keep my wild cards. I can roll these 2 and see what happens to see what else I might be able to field out. And that's what I think I'm going to do at this point. So I'm going to keep these 2 here for right now. And I'm going to re-roll these 2. Alright, that didn't work out that much. Well, it kind of did. I have a lightning, and I have a sidekick. So, because once again, sidekicks always have a 0 cost to field, I'm going to go ahead and field that sidekick. Since I apparently couldn't get rid of that sidekick this round, I'm going to use these 3 here to purchase my other rescue die for the 3 energy that the card requires. I'll just pick this up so people can see it a little bit better. Alright. And all of this goes into my used pile. Alright. So, my imaginary the imaginary player that's playing against me, they're going to go ahead and they're going to do what they need to do to get their cards. Alright. So, We've gone ahead. We've got this going on. Things are going good. But guess what? Now I don't have any more dice in my bag. Oh no. What do I do? Haha. All these dice that are over here in this used pile go back in my bag. I always like to kind of shake them up a little bit once I get in the bag. Now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to draw 4 more dice. Now let's see what happens with this. Okay. Did I miss one? I did miss one. Sorry. Let's shake it again. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Okay, there's 2. There is 4. And I still drew all 4 sidekicks, which makes sense at this point in the game, because most of the dice that are in there are sidekicks. So, odds are I'm going to be drawing more sidekick dice than anything else. Okay. I have 2 wild cards, and I have a fist, and I have another sidekick. Well, I may do something a little different. I am going to hold on to these 2 for right now. But let me go ahead and re-roll these. I will go to re-roll the fist and my sidekick die. Okay, and what that did for me, this actually, this makes it different. Oh, this gives me options. All right, so it gives me another wild card and a shield. So what that means is I have 2 options here. Because all of this is energy. And energy is what you need to start getting the dice for your basic actions. So, I could go ahead and choose to use 2 of my energy to buy one of these dice. That would give me some extra goodies, because like these 2s just count, they count similar to the wild cards when they're rolled. These little smash symbols give me the option to use the basic action. But I do also have enough to field my roadie. Now, I'm a little bit more of an aggressive player, so for me, I'm going to go ahead and field that roadie with all 4 of those, because I need to get more characters out on the field that I can use to attack. Now, in the meantime, through all of this, you know, my opponent, my imaginary opponent, has not kept any of their sidekicks. They've rolled them away. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attack her for 2. Because of the fact, I'm going to move them up into my attack zone, and I'm going to attack my opponent for 2. So what that's going to do is, because of the fact that I'm going to pretend correct. In this particular case, however, I just happened to end up with like 4 wild cards. So the fact that I had enough of this extra energy and I didn't have any extra sidekicks is why I decided to go with that, with my roadie. Because every other round, I've ended up with a sidekick, so I was like 1 short. So since I've gone ahead and I have, I'm going to go ahead and attack her with these 2. And she was not able to defend them against them. So, because she wasn't able to defend, she takes 2 damage. And then these are now going to go into my used pile. Which in some ways could end up bad, because, well, that means I just opened myself up if she happens to get a sidekick her next round. So, we've gone through that. I've attacked. They've gone to my used pile. Huzzah! On to the next phase. So, my imaginary player has drawn She has her cards. She has her dice out. Oh, look at that. She saw what I did with that sidekick. And she understood why I now try to field at least one or two sidekicks when at all possible. Currently, I have nothing to defend myself with. So, she fields her sidekick. Her sidekick does not require any type of cooldown, is my understanding. So if I'm lucky, she's going to hold on to it, but I may not be lucky and she may decide to attack since I've gone ahead and attacked her. Let's take a look here. Alright. We're going to say that she hasn't... She's just going to let it sit there. She's going to let it stack, kind of how I do. So, I'm going to go back to my bag. Pull out 4 more dice. And now we've got some of my character dice from when I pulled out Rescue. I roll them. Oh, wow. Okay. That was fun. Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3. I have 5 energy. Well, here's the catch. Well, okay, 5 of the electric energy, the lightning bolt energy. So I already have everything that I need to for Pepper. I've already pulled all those dice, so there's no point in me using them there. So, I'm going to go ahead and use these 3 to get a Cone of Cold, one of my basic action die, my gold basic action die. And I'll use these 2 here to get one of my pink basic action die. Like I said, that just basically means that is just adding more dice into the pool to play with. So as you can see here, oh, you can't actually. Just I'll kind of scoot it over here. My pile of dice started at 8, but it's growing pretty nicely as I field more and more of these dice. So we go, because everything that I have is now in my used pile. That means that I have opened myself up for an attack from my imaginary opponent, my imaginary friend that we're going to pretend is sitting across the table from me. So since I don't have anything that I can defend with, she's going to use her sidekick, her little pawn, just the same way I did, and she's going to attack me, and I'm going to take 1 damage. That's going to now take me down to, because we're playing this as a short game, I'm only starting it at 10 points, so that's going to take me down to 9. And I'm just going to grab a marker here. I know you guys can't quite see it on the field yet, but I'm just going to grab another dice here to use as a marker for my hit points. So that's got me at 9. A couple more hit points and you'll be able to see it squeaking its way across the screen. So that goes ahead and ends her turn. Now, because of the fact that I have everything in my used pile, all of this goes into my bag. So for those of you that are watching and you're kind of new to the game, you can see it has relatively quick play. Sometimes, of course, depending upon the amount of time your opponent is taking to make decisions and things of that nature and decide what they want to do, it can go ahead and cause the game to go a little bit slower. Not by much, though. And that's one of the really great things about Dicemasters, is it is a really fun, fast-moving game to play. So, if you've got like 20, 30 minutes to kill, you can sit down and just play a fun round of... Oh, look at that. Okay, we actually are getting dice variety. Look at that. I haven't even rolled them yet. But we've got a couple of our rescue dice, we've got some energy, we've got one of our basic action die, and just our basic sidekick die. Let's see what we get out of this. Alright, so, I have a rescue. I have some lightning energy. I have more lightning energy. And I have a 2. Well, we're going to keep that. We're going to keep that 2 over there. We're not going to reroll that. Let's reroll this, though. Let's see what else we can get. We're getting a whole lot of lightning bolts. Let's get some more stuff out here. And we got more lightning bolts. Alright. So, with that being said, I'm going to use one of these to field rescue. That leaves me with 3. I will go ahead and use these 3. Let me take a look here. Ooh. And you know what? I don't want her to attack me again. So I'm going to go ahead and use my global. So with my global, I deal 1 damage to target character die. So I'm going to go ahead and kill her sidekick so that he's not there to harass me anymore. And if we were playing on if this was what her field would look like, her sidekick would then go over to the KO. Because I killed it. And like I said, I didn't want to deal with that coming back to bite me again, the way I left myself completely wide open. So, that's that. I go ahead and I give my opponent a moment to get her dice. I give my opponent a chance to roll her dice and decide what she is going to do next. So she rolls her dice. She fields what she can field. She brings out a couple more character dice. And huzzah! We're back to me now. I'm going to draw 4 more dice. Oh, and if you're playing right, and this is something that I just don't do it, and I don't know why. Some people probably do. I'm really bad about moving my used dice to my prep area. I just keep them all in my used, but here. For the sake of the game, I will move it over here to my prep area since it's new turn. So that way you guys can kind of see a little bit how it's supposed to be played. I just completely spaced that out, guys. Sorry. Why didn't you guys tell me? No, just kidding. But it's just, I leave it in my used pile and I just forget to move it over. Okay, so now we have shield, sidekick, and a 2. Oh. I'm going to go ahead and field my sidekick here because it is a fielding cost of 0. 0. And then I'm going to go ahead and take these 4 here, and I'm going to bring out my other roadie. So those are going to go to my used pile. As mentioned, I'm kind of a little bit of an aggressive player sometimes. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring my rescue in for an attack. Because like I said, I didn't play nice. I took out that other sidekick that was hanging out. So she is undefended. So previously she was hit for 2, she was down to 8. My attack with rescue is a 4 for this one, and that attack just depends upon how the dice come up. So in this case it's a 4. So I just hit her for 4 points. That's now used. She is now down to 4 hit points. Proper way of playing means these go here over into my prep area. And I wait for my opponent to finish cursing at me. And then let her play through. You know, now she's finally starting to get some more of those dice out. She's getting some more, they're getting some more of the character dice, just like I'm getting out my roadies and my rescues. So she gets one of hers and she's able to field it. So she moves it into her field zone. Yeah, I may just grab some randoms here, guys, just to kind of see like what she might possibly be playing against me with. That way you guys can just kind of see like how that damage would work like against me. Haha. Alright, so we're just going to say she happened to field her Iron Manor. And so that's there in her field zone. She's holding out because she's a little bit upset, so she wants to kind of maybe build up and kind of hit me for several points at once. Definitely have that as an option. Usually, if I've got something I can attack with and something I can defend with, I usually kind of try and play those odds. So she's done with her turn. It is now my turn. Do I have... Yes, I do have enough to field for. 1, 2... 3... and 4. Once again, all sidekick die, because everything else that is not a sidekick die is already in my prep area waiting to go back into my bag for another draw. I roll. Oh, this one's kind of a mixed bag. I get a little bit of everything in this one. I have a mask. So if I'd like, I can field Jarvis. I have a lightning bolt, which I can just use as extra energy. And I have 2 shields that I can use as simply extra energy. You know, I don't know what Jarvis does. So, you know what? Well, hold on. 4. You know what? I'm just going to roll these. I'm going to roll these 2 shields just to see what happens. So I'm just going to set these down here. Lightning bolt and a shield. So, either way, pretty much the same result. Let's go ahead and we'll put those over in my used pile, and we will field a Jarvis. Well, we're not fielding him. We'll bring him into our used pile so he can be prepped up for the next go-round. Alright, so as I mentioned, you know, she had fielded a card known as Iron Manor. And so with that, when she fielded him with a dice that does a 4 attack. Well, so here's a problem with that. I only have this little guy here to defend with. This guy's a 4/4. He's a 1/1. Now, when it comes to the attack, here's how this is going to play out. Since I actually have something that I can defend with, okay. So, let me just take a look. I just want to confirm this with the damage because I've received conflicting on that. I've been told that if it's more damage, it just simply, it KOs your dice. I've also been told that you take the additional damage. So let me take a look here really quick. I just want to confirm it. Like I said, I just want to confirm because I have heard both. Bear with me just one moment. Okay, so I have gone ahead and she has declared that Iron Manor is going to attack. I have said, okay, I understand your Iron Manor with a 4/4 is attacking. I am going to go ahead and block with my sidekick. Because he is doing he is a 4/4 and he is a 1/1, he is KO'd. And her character just simply goes back into her attack zone. Because my character was not strong enough to knock him out. Let me just take a look here. One moment. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to double check on that damage again. So yeah, I was correct. So what happened is because she's used him, he is now going to go into her prep area. My guy, he is KO'd. So he doesn't go into the my prep area until I believe the end of my next turn. Let me just confirm it. Like I said, just want to confirm. Because, like I said, I've seen it played both. Sometimes I think it sometimes depends on, you know, who you are playing with. Okay, yeah. So at the end of my next turn, he goes from KO'd into my prep area. So now it's my turn again. I only have 1 dice in here. That's not going to work. Oh, and these should have gone over here. So I draw my 1. I put all of these back into my bag. And see, this pile's growing ever so quickly to have more and more dice. I draw 3 more dice. And now that I've drawn them, we are going to go ahead and roll. Alright, so let's go ahead. I'm going to keep Rhodey. I'm going to re-roll these 3. See what happens. Let me just put him up there. Alright, so I have enough energy to field him. And because my sidekick requires nothing to be fielded, I will go ahead and field that. And that is it for me for the end of that turn. So, my opponent goes, she rolls, she gets some energy, she fields some characters. Back to my turn. I draw 4 more dice. Here are the 4 I'm drawing. Let's, oh, sorry, there we go. Okay, I have a wild card. 2, here, shield. Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and re-roll these 2 to see if I can get something that can let me field something else. Of course not. Okay, well, that's completely fine. Let me just see here. So I'm going to go ahead and use these 2 here to get another basic action die. I'll use these 2 here to field. Oh, wait a minute. No, I can't use my wild cards to field. I can't. So those, unfortunately, he stays in my prep area. No, all 3 stay in my prep area. Let me just double check that. If anybody wants to chime in, because I was told, like I said, I've always played where you could not use your you cannot use your wild cards as random energy. You have to have at least 1. Alright, no, I guess I can. I was wrong. I can use them. Okay, so we're going to put those in the use pile. We're going to go ahead and field our other roadie. Those are some pretty nice stats on roadie there. You know, I'm feeling kind of feisty. Because, you know, I killed what she had on the field. My opponent doesn't have anything else to defend against. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my sidekick and ding her for 1. That brings her down to 3. Puts that in my used area. And this all rolls into my prep area moving forward. Alright, leaving my 2 roadies in the field just in case something crazy happens this next go round. Alright, so she's gone ahead. She's rolled. She gets her dice. And, you know, she now has, you know, in that roll, she was able to field she was able to field her Space Armor Iron Man. That's what we're going to go with. We're going to say this is what she fielded. Pretty beefy character. Suit Up Iron Man. When purchased, you may KO an Iron Man character die in the field. This die at level 2. Okay. So when she rolled him, I got really lucky. He was only at level 1. And so what level 1 is, you compare it to the bottom of your card. And so level 1 is this very first one right here. So once you get past the end of the shields, this one here is your number 1. So it tells you that your number 1, it costs 1 to field, does 3 attack, has 5 defense. Fortunately, she did not field him at a level 2. Oh, no, hold on. No, she says you can, but I don't have any other Iron Man characters out, so she can't KO them. There we go. That's where we're at with that. All right. So, but she's got him fielded now, so I know that I need to take this a little bit more seriously. Pull out my next set of 4 dice. Here are those 4 dice. They sit here in my dice bag for a second. Now let me roll them. Alright, so I've got a mask, I've got 3 masks, I've got this energy here. Well, let's see here. What am I gonna do? I have got... take a look here. So I'm going to go ahead and keep her in my reserve. I'm going to go ahead and use these 4 to bring out my other Jarvis. These all go into my used pile. You know, I'm not really comfortable about that Iron Man hanging out over there. That Space Armor Iron Man. And, you know, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attack the Space Armor Iron Man with this one. And I'm going to go ahead and attack the player with this one. So, of course, she defends with this guy. Because they go ahead and they are equal, so they knock each other out. This here does 4 damage. She only had 3 hit points left. So, I went ahead and just won the game. Because that's how you win. When you get your character down, your opponent down to 0 points, and you can count that using a counter like you would in Magic. You can do it with, like I said, something like this. There's even counters you can download in the form of a mobile app. And those are the basics of playing Dicemasters. Like I said, I did go ahead and just do this on a small scale because I wanted you guys... I felt getting the steps down was more important than seeing all of the combat played out. Oh, wow. I probably did... Oh, man. I didn't even have to do that. So because of the fact that War Machine KO'd that dice... KO'd, Space Armor Iron Man... I would have done 2 points of damage to the opponent anyway. So, I mean, I guess I really didn't have to attack with double roadies, but I did. So that's kind of how that played out. I really hope you guys really enjoyed this. If you want to see bigger games played of this, let me know. I can definitely make that happen. Like I said, because this was just kind of a playthrough and it was more of a walkthrough for those that were curious about Dicemasters but possibly had never played. I just wanted to make sure that you guys could kind of see the basics and see kind of how it all works out. Because I think, especially if you walk into somewhere and you see people playing it, it looks really super cool. But it also looks like it's really confusing. And it's really not. It's literally roll the dice, count some numbers. It's great. One of the other things that I thought was really great about this game when I first got into it, because I wasn't sure if it was a game I was really going to be into. So, for me, being able to buy oh, what do they call them? Basically, it's the 2-player pack. It's basically your starter pack. It gives you enough to learn to play with a friend and see if it's something that you guys are going to want to do. And, so you don't have to put a lot of money to get started on it. The booster packs that you can buy are like 99 cents a piece. I know here in the San Antonio area, the only places I've been able to find Dicemasters is I do get them out at Night Watch Games, as well as there are a few of them that I can occasionally get at Dragon's Lair at Alamo Ranch. So definitely check it out in your area. You guys know me, I'm a big proponent for buying local when at all possible. But, sometimes we know that isn't always going to be the case. And sometimes you are going to have to order some of it online. But like I said, always do what you can to support your local game shops, because, if you don't support your local game shops, you're no longer going to have a local game shop. That's just really kind of like the long and short of it. Like, there's no way two ways I can even slice that. So like I said, do what you can to see about, or even see if your local game shop can order them. That's one thing that we do a lot. If there's something that our shop doesn't have that we can find locally, we'll go ahead and we'll just order it online. Or we'll talk to them and say, hey, can you guys order this? If they don't have a supplier that can get it, then okay, then we'll order it. There are a couple different ways you can store all of this. These are called Zen bins. I think they're great. From what I hear, there are some better ones, though. They're a little sturdier than this. But for storing, like I said, this is just my Iron Man War Machine. This is actually perfect for me. So, guys, I really hope that this was really, helpful for those of you that were interested in Dicemasters. I hope that, if there are any questions, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me either in Messenger or even in the comments below. Because if I'm not available, obviously there's some folks here that have watched this that love Dicemasters, and they have played this game many times themselves. So they're pretty familiar with these rules as well. And having that community really is going to always help you to get the answers that you're looking for or the answers that you need. Like I said, I had to go back to my rule book because it had been a little while since I had played. But it is a really great game to play. So I wanted to make sure I shared it with you guys so you guys could kind of check it out if you've ever been curious about Dicemasters. And I really wish I would quit flinging my dice all over the floor because, I've been picking them up with my feet all night long. Don't forget, tomorrow is going to be New Comic Book Wednesday, where Wednesdays I will always go in and I will go over the latest and greatest and fun new comics that I have found at my local comic shop. Like I said, don't ever hesitate to join in the conversation. I love it when people join in on the conversation. Sometimes, though, when I'm trying to, instruct, sometimes I get a little bit behind on that chat because I'm trying to pay attention here. So don't ever think I'm ignoring you. Just bear with me so I can, give me a second to kind of catch up. So, guys, for now, this is going to be Shield Maiden signing out. As always, everybody, fly those geek flags high. Till next time, this is going to be Shield Maiden signing out. Hey, Soph. Are you done being crazy?